So why did you write this soon-to-be best-selling book, Bob?
Well, because people were pestering me, telling me, you got to write a book, Bob. And so they kept after me to do that. And finally, I decided, okay, I might as well write it. I'm not getting any younger, so
Right.
I'll write it.
Well, what did they know about you that motivated them to pester you?
Well, I told my story so much as a way of helping people love themselves more, and they say, you got to write a book. So because they appreciated the story and what it did for them.
So can you tell us a little bit of your story, like a sneak preview?
Well, a sneak preview is I was raised be very stoic. I was pretty shut down, not terribly happy, was married, had a daughter, and loved her. Her birth did something to me and woke me up in many ways emotionally. And then I lost she and my wife 8 years later, where somebody arsoned my home, and it hurt like hell. Learned a lot as I tried to heal from this, and in the process, I discovered how to love myself out of the process of mourning and healing from their loss. And my daughter was the principal in that. And one psychic I used said that she came as a teacher and her teaching was finished. And I couldn't understand that. And basically what I found out is when she came into my life, she taught me to love. And when she left, she taught me to love myself. So that's the basic of the story.
Now that's a real wow. And people are probably going to be wondering, how could she teach you to love yourself from the other side?
Right. Yeah.
And I
Well,
think that would be empowering
yeah.
to know.
Well, she's been in my life ever since, and a big influence. And people often think that when people are um, gone, they're gone. That's not true. Their body's gone, their spirit's very much there. And I could feel it, and I even had a medium tell me uh, about it. And in fact, two mediums that
Wow.
said that she was very close around. And she, in talking with her, she said for 2 years I was always around, and because you were in such trouble. So
What would be some of the lessons people could learn from loving yourself that she taught you? Because I think a lot of people who are hurting right now, especially with people who have loved ones who've died and don't know how to handle their grief, that's why I asked you to share your story and write it, would want to know, what are the key elements that you learned when she was on the other side teaching you?
one, I got to find out that, we're much more than our bodies. And when our bodies wear out, or we let them go, or there's a tragedy or whatever, the being that has lived in this body is still there. And we act like they're gone, and then we don't get to really appreciate staying in relationship with them. And so it's much like, transitioning. It's like you're at home and you transition to go to school, and oftentimes kids are upset and whatever, but then they find it's okay, and then they go to high school, and then another upset, and then they go to college, they go off. There's all these different transitions, and we handle them, or some people don't. But the same thing is that when somebody dies, it's a transition. And their spirit, who they are, is very much there. And if we act like they don't exist, we don't get to use the power of the relationship.
Wow, that's really, really important to know. So you changed as a person because of what happened.
Absolutely.
How did her passing affect you? What changes did you go through? I think that would be interesting for people to know.
Went through all kinds. Afterwards, I was depressed, agitated, unable to sleep, homicidal, suicidal. Um, the worst experience I ever had in my life. And then uh, from there, I started beginning my healing, um, started putting my life back together, and have learned a lot. I mean, uh, learning to love myself was quite a process. I've done a lot I've done some therapy, I've done some personal growth work. Um, Different trainings I have required me to grow. I've learned to be more aware of my feelings and how to express them, and um, how to deepen my relationships with people, um, how to be in better communication with my families, how to even breathe, and get more in touch with my what I hold in my body. Be in better relationship, I think, with uh, you know what I who I call God, but the higher power, and in all the different really ascended people who can be great resources. And so I see this life as an adventure, and I'm here to learn, and the more I learn, the better. And hopefully at some point I'll get to where I don't have to come back again and again and again. So, because I hold that we do. And,
Yes, I agree with you. I feel the same way.
uh,
So you've really gone through such a journey, and you say it's an adventure, and you emotionally went through a roller coaster and came out on the other side to be able to live fully. So I'm thinking that people would probably also want to know what would be some tips that they could learn from you. How do we live more fully? How do we love ourselves more?
well, I do a lot of um, I tell lots of stories. Learning good stories helps us identify and grow. Um, I do a lot of image work where I work with people to image their what I call the little kid inside, but it could just be the creative energy, whatever works for them. What worked for me was imaging a little boy, but for some people it could be other, and learning how to appreciate and love that little boy that was just wanted to come here and play and learn and grow, and ended up getting hurt. And so part of it was my apologizing to him and telling him I wanted to be in relationship, and and having him in my life. And so working on having that little boy with me every day. So even when I'm with clients and everything, I'm playing with them. I'm teasing them, and I come up with all kinds of thoughts that I think, you know, I don't know how it's even going to be helpful, but it ends up being helpful. So, uh, and just um, helping helping people understand that feelings come from our sense of touch, and we have them in our body, but to get them complete, we need to express them. And so I hold a distinction of a feeling and an emotion. An emotion is a feeling expressed, and when I express something, it gets completed. So, and that can even, it doesn't even have to be words, it could be sounds. Like after I lost my wife and daughter, I did a lot of uh, um, wailing. And what's, uh, I was surprised after I wailed how much better I felt.
Wow.
And I had to wail a number of times, but it was like I could just tell the pain I held in my body was relieved through that sound, and it was like I was emotionally throwing up. You know,
Yeah.
you don't like to throw up, but once you do, you feel so much better, you know.
Right, right. You
And
release it.
I'm supposed to be a tough man, and I'm not supposed to feel all those things, but I do. And you know, so.
Yeah.
And then I found that there were a lot of other people I needed to wail that I'd lost that I never, you know, I just pretended like it didn't affect me. And it had, but you know, and it was just held in my body.
Right, right.
You know, the book said body keeps score, absolutely true.
So most people, I think, or many people are taught not to express their deep
Absolutely.
grief, right?
Right.
Keep it in, or be a man or something.
Right. And it kills them. Keeps them from feeling fully alive.
Yeah. So that's an important tip for people just to learn to do that. I
Right.
think this is really helpful. I know this is an informal conversation, and as we're talking, I'm thinking to myself, even this that we're doing right now would be wonderful to share with people, even though my phone rang right during the middle of one of your talks. But if with your permission, I'd like to consider sharing this with audiences, like a little preview
Sure.
about what you're doing, because you're really changing people's lives. I didn't give your bio here because I thought we'd just talk informally, but as you started speaking, I just realized how valuable your insights are, because our world is crying right now. And that's why I'm so passionate about getting out positive stories, because we need to heal collectively.
All right.
And you're helping people, individually in your work, but now you can help more people through your book,
Mm-hmm.
The Wonderful Adventure of Loving Yourself,
Yeah.
which hopefully will be out soon.
Right. Okay.
So what would be, before we close here, what would be something you want people to remember, Bob? If you could pick one thing.
I think the biggest thing is, I don't know if it's to remember as much as to be aware that they are an unbelievable, magnificent soul, and they just don't know that. They don't know the power, the creativity, the wisdom that they have. They are unconscious of it, blind to it. And our job in this life is to become more aware of it and have it show up more in this world. So that's what I would.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love that. Thank you so much for your time today, Bob.
You're
And I
welcome.
can't wait to see your book.
Well, I can't either.
It'll be there soon. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.